Yes, welcome to the sound of the start of Masters Weekend. This, the NTT20 betting show. We make betting picks on EFL football. We've got a full slate this weekend in our sights. We are sponsored by Sky Bet, and we are Ali and George. And we're pretty excited about life, golf, and EFL football. Happy weekend to you.
Yes, Thursday morning. We start our weekends early.
In literally 24 hours time,
not the top
I will
media.
be in the pub next to one of London's premier train stations ahead of a stag do to northern France. Fairly confident the stag doesn't listen to this.
I don't know. He's quite a good friend of yours.
Yeah.
You might be surprised.
Yeah, of all the sort of...
I can literally see you processing. Do we have to start again?
Of all the, let's risk it, of all the inputs that can go into my level of pre-weekend excitement, I think the fact that it's been sunny, the fact that I'm going on a stag, the fact that it's Masters Weekend, like that.
Grand National. You'll probably be having a sweepstake, won't you, on Saturday?
For sure.
Yeah.
The model basically just explodes when you put all those inputs in. Yeah. And that's why I'm somewhat fizzy this week. But also because I had a big winning nap last week. Millwall.
Iconic, I would say.
Beating Middlesbrough. Very pleasing. 15-4 winner. Obviously, even with a losing Eggman and no winning goal scorers, put me in 4.5 profits for the weekend. 4.5 profits, 4.5 points profit for the weekend. And your nap got up as well. So we both won our naps, which feels like the first time in a while. Blackpool doing the business against Exeter. You also Acker swerved Middlesbrough. So lots of people, I'm sure, would have won Ackers because they swerved Middlesbrough on your say-so. And that was it, a small loss for you. And looking ahead to this weekend, lots to be excited about. What I want to know is, what's your nap for the Masters? What's your nap for the football?
Cameron Young for the football, Swansea City for the Masters. Wrong way around. Cam Young, what a player. Players champion, best American player at the Ryder Cup, formerly nicknamed Scam Young, and he's made a mockery of that. People used to say he was a bottler, and he's now showing that he is full of bottle. Doesn't even celebrate when he wins tournaments.
Well, Rory couldn't win the Masters until he did. Tommy Fleetwood couldn't win on the PGA Tour until he did.
Tony Finau couldn't win a major until he didn't.
Brentford were never going to win a playoffs, then they did.
Yeah, so
Cam Young.
It's Cam Young's time.
It's your time.
I think Jordan Spieth might go quite well as well. Anyway, but I'm backing Swansea to beat Leicester at 9-4 at Leicester. Getting to that time of the season now where you can see in the prices there's a lot of incentive and motivation baked in, and that's definitely fair in some respects, but I think in others you can find reasons why it wouldn't necessarily be the case, and particularly here where Leicester, of course, this is a huge opportunity for them to win. It's a massive game for them in terms of trying to stay up, and I think they are, against the Swansea side that have very little to play for. But I would also kind of flip it on its head and say this is a massively high-pressure game for Leicester in front of a home support who are feeling understandably pretty frustrated and annoyed with basically every single facet of the club, up against a Swansea side who are winless in 4. But if you look at their last 2 games, their 3-3 draw coming back from 3-1 down against Sheffield United was basically the final nail in Sheffield United's playoff dreams. They then hosted Middlesbrough, who really needed a result off the back of a difficult run of form, having seen Ipswich win earlier in the day. And they frustrated them and drew 2-2 with them, albeit thanks to 2 penalties. But they're pretty good on the day and certainly didn't roll over and get their tummies tickled by Kim Helberg and his Borough team.
I'm really enjoying watching them at the moment.
Yes.
I think lots of things are working very nicely indeed.
As a shrewd EFL analyst, Ali Maxwell, pointed out at one point, under Vitor Matos, Swansea's record against the poorer teams in the league has been incredibly good. It's when they're facing up against the better teams in the league, they've sometimes been found wanting. And that's been the case in these last 4 games, because they played Wrexham, who were in the top 6 when they played them, Coventry, who are probably going to win the league, Sheffield United, who, as I said, they put early season form behind them, and although they're not playing great now, are still one of the better teams in the league in terms of player quality and also record since, say, beginning of November. And then Borough, who were second in the weekend up to when they were playing each other. Prior to that, they beat a Pompey side who were desperate for a result. They beat a Stoke team that we know haven't been particularly good. So it does feel like they are the flat track bullies. And despite the fact that Leicester are where they are because of a points deduction, I still believe that Leicester is a pretty flat track. Now, I have a feeling that part of the reason why Leicester are being well backed here is because of the impressive numbers that they posted against Sheffield Wednesday. Because, even though they drew the game 1-1, they had 24 shots, 2.53 XG, 12 shots on target. But that part of that is game state, where they were behind after 2 minutes. Part of that is because they're playing a Wednesday team who, hadn't won. They've won one game all season, hadn't won at home all season. So naturally, kind of the game tilt is going to be in Leicester's favour. Over the course of Guy Rowett's reign, we've seen they're a team that really struggled to create good goal scoring opportunities. They haven't won in their last 4 and don't really feel like a group of players to me that are up to the challenge and are really relishing trying to get Leicester out of this mess. So, yeah, I can't really see why Leicester are as short as they are. I'm happy to take on, if you take these prices as kind of as they are, it would suggest that if these two teams were to play at Wembley, if this game was to be at Wembley, a neutral venue, then Leicester would be favourites. Leicester are perceived to be the better team by the market, and obviously motivation will come into that, but I'm just not having it at all. So I'm not going to go draw no bet or anything, because there is a chance that Swansea, at some point do just decide, actually, you know what, I'm kind of looking forward to May, and we're going to roll over. But with Zamba Potnik, obviously in good form, and I would have thought very, very keen to make sure that he wins the Golden Boot in the Championship. And with Vitor Matos presumably looking to, Swansea wanting to pick up as many points as they can before the summer. I'm happy to take them at 9-4 to compound Leicester's misery, who I still just believe are not a very good team.
Yeah, like it a lot. 12:30 Saturday, Norfolk v Suffolk. The Old Farm Derby, the pride of Anglia at stake. And this is honestly one of the great derbies in world football. And surely one of the most even derbies there's ever been, right? In the league, I'm not making this up, in league football, Norwich and Ipswich against each other have both won 40 times with 24 draws. That's including the playoff campaign where Norwich beat Ipswich and there was a draw in one of the legs and Norwich won one leg. 40 wins each in its history. How good is that? Massive. Delectably. What makes this even better is that this isn't just any old Norwich side against any old Ipswich side. From the moment Phil Clement got his feet under the table at Norwich City, sifting through the wreckage of their horrendous start to the season, these have been the two best teams in the league in terms of points return, right? So in the last 4.5 months, Norwich, 24 games played, 48 points, 2 points per game, the most points in the league in that time. And there's Ipswich, 23 games played, 45 points, just under 2 PPG, 3 points back in that time frame. So Norwich City, over half a season's worth of football, the best team in the Championship. And my nap is Norwich draw no bet here, even money with Sky Bet, because in that time, and I don't see any relevance in including Norwich undermanning as part of any sort of comparison or anything to do with this game. In that time, again, half a season's worth of football, Norwich at home at Carrow Road, 8 wins, 1 draw, 3 defeats, 25 points from 12 games. They've won, 3/4 of their games in that time. Away from home in that time, Ipswich, in their 11 away games, have won 4. They've also lost 4, and they've drawn 3. They've only won 4 of 11. They've only got 15 points from 11 away games in the last 4.5 months. And to me, home advantage, it's always a thing, but I think maybe in massive derby games, home advantage maybe carries a little bit extra.
Especially when I'm in the home end.
You're in the home end. What a bombshell.
Yeah.
Wow. The last 10 derbies at Carrow Road, George. 6 wins for Norwich, 4 draws, not a single Ipswich win. I think it's 06 Danny Haynes, isn't it? Since they last won. 6 wins for Norwich, 4 draws in that time. Now, they slipped up at home last time out, a 1-1 draw against Portsmouth. They were spectacular on Monday in beating Millwall at the Den. Can you imagine if Norwich had got over the line against Pompey? It was a fairly late set-piece goal
they
conceded.
were good against They were a much better team against Pompey as well.
Better side. They could be on 60 points. They'd be 6 points off the playoffs, but they'd be feeling a little bit stronger. I mean, there's positivity about Ipswich. Like, they were the thumbnail for our Monday pod on YouTube because they won the weekend in terms of the automatic promotion battle. Millwall getting 3 points from 2 games. Borough getting 1 point from 2 games. Ipswich getting 3 points from their game to be at the top of the pile. 3 teams on 72 points. They've got the games in hand. They're going to win automatic promotion. That's the logic behind that. But are they actually like absolutely flying on the pitch? Not really. Wouldn't say so. They beat Birmingham from behind. They were fine, not great. Got a bit lucky when Birmingham had a goal disallowed that shouldn't have been. Very lucky. right?
Call a spade, son.
Previous game at home to Millwall, good in the first half, poor in the second half, 1-1 draw. Previous game was away at Sheffield Wednesday, a 2-0 win. I don't put a huge amount into that. Game before that, away at Stoke, a 3-3 draw where they were pretty messy. Game before that, a home game against Leicester City of the relegation zone, a 1-1 draw. Like, I think there might be an assumption that Ipswich are like in unbelievable form and really flying at the moment. And I don't think that's really backed up. So the performances are fine, but not amazing. This is not the team that has suddenly hit sixth gear, like we've been saying all season for Ipswich. They're there. They're there with Millwall and Borough. They're not playing brilliantly. Their favouritism in this game is too strong for me. They are the favourites. And there's lots built into that. Season-long underlying numbers, sort of team rating will be in there based on a lot of player quality and stuff like that. That's fine. Is there a motivation angle? A lot of people would want to say Norwich are not able to make the playoffs at this point, and obviously it's a massive ask. They are 8 points off them. They've got 5 games to go. They're 10 points behind Hull, who they might be more realistically shooting at given Southampton's form. But don't be silly. Like, Norwich aren't going to be going into this game feeling like their season's done. A, because it's the derby game, but B, I think professional athletes who are on the form that they're on will feel like if we can do our bit and win all of our games, we could make it. And we've got to at least try and do that.
There's no way surely anyone in any way, like Norwich fan, player, anything, will think that it's done. They have to think that they can win, given the form they've been on. I'll be there, and if I hear any Norwich fans saying the season is done, I'll tell them what I think.
I'm so excited about this. I think it will be an even game. I certainly am not trying to say that Norwich are going to dominate and win this one comfortably, but I don't think the prices align at all with how I see this. The draw is absolutely on the cards, as it often is in derby games. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a 0-0 or a 1-1, but take that draw out, and still getting evens about Norwich, the home side. I like that a lot. That's my best bet of the weekend. Norwich, draw no bet, even money with Sky Bet at home to Ipswich. Next best.
Yeah, I'm taking a bit of a swing here, and I'm going to put up Leyton Orient to beat Lincoln at 5-1 on Saturday in the 12:30 kickoff. This is purely kind of the reverse of what I was doing a second ago, where Lincoln have won promotion. Mm-hmm. Lincoln are going to win the league. Mm-hmm. They won promotion on Monday in dramatic fashion, and you have to hope they've been having a good time since.
Good God, yeah.
Of course, Michael Skibala and his coaching staff and everyone, probably from Tuesday at 9 a.m. onwards, with bleary eyes and smelly breath, have probably been saying, like, right, lads, it's time to kind of focus again. But it's given the momentous achievement in terms of what they've done to get over the line and the points tally they've built. And obviously they'll want to get as big a points tally as possible. And they might come out and play with reckless abandon and freedom that enables them to win every game to the end of the season. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if they did. But in terms of a pure betting prospect, hosting a Leyton Orient team who boast the top scorer in League One, who, because of Exeter's win last weekend, are suddenly now only 4 points clear of the drop zone and are being kept to task, and will go into this knowing that a win will probably make them safe and a defeat could put them in a really difficult position. Like, this is basically like a party in the home end up against an absolutely incredibly important game for Orient, who will love the fact that Lincoln are now promoted, they can go into this game. And it doesn't really seem to be reflected in the prices. I can't really imagine, had Lincoln lost against Reading, I don't see why they'd be much shorter than 2-1. This is an Orient team that we've seen win games recently. They're very, very hard to get right, I would say, Orient, where often when you think they're going to struggle, they win. And when you think they're going to win, they struggle. We've seen really impressive away wins recently. They went to AFC Wimbledon and beat them 4-2, having been 2-1 down. They went to Stevenage and beat them 2-1. So there's recent form for them going, in tricky away days and winning. And at 5-1, Orient were never meant to be down here in the first place, and they definitely have the quality within their side to put in a better performance. So yeah, just going to take a chance that Lincoln City are understandably have their eye off the ball here, and that Orient can make the most of that at a very big price.
Take a chance. Goal scorer corner. Starts with Tyrese Shade. I was looking for Shade yesterday. Not a guy that can sit in direct sunlight for too long. We found it.
You are looking
handsome.
Colourful.
Yes. Any particular colour?
Rouge.
Pink. Tyree Shade, 2-1 anytime to score for Burton at home to Wimbledon. Look, 2-1's not the most exciting price, but I'm pretty bullish on this. We'll start with Shade himself. He scored for us the other day, didn't he? I like him a lot. An absolute gunman. And the last few months in particular has just been getting better and better, more confident and more confident. The first half of the season, we were talking a lot about Jake X. Jeasley, his strike partner. But I think in my head, Shade has now kind of overtaken Beasley in terms of, he's a different type of goal threat. He's more kind of shot volume than penalty box poacher. But I like him a lot. If you look at League One strikers who've played, or League One players who've played over 2,000 minutes this season, and look at shots on target per 90, there are 10 players that hit the target once or more per game, and at the very top of that 10 is Tyrese Shade, 1.39 shots on target per game. Lauren Talai next, then McGoldrick, Salek, Harry Leonard, Kyle Wotton, etc. So a high volume shooter, hits the target a lot, but the big thing here is Wimbledon defenders dropping like flies. In the last game, Ryan Johnson was missing, not sure what the news is on his potential return, so they played Patrick Bauer, and he came off injured in the first half, and they played Joe Lewis, and he came off injured in the first half. I think Bauer is definitely out. Lewis, not 100% sure. Johnson, not 100% sure. There's a chance that Sam Hutchinson is playing centre-back for Wimbledon in this game, and if that is the case, Tyrese Shade versus Sam Hutchinson is going to be a hell of a mismatch, in my opinion. So I like Shade at 2-1. That's a 1-point play. I got Big Kelvin Ehebashiman of Reading, 3-1 anytime to score at Doncaster. It's a 3/4 point play for me. Donny with some alarming performances and results over Easter weekend, losing 2-0 against Mansfield and following up by losing 3-0 against Exeter. They've been a very leaky defensive side all season, and Reading not exactly sparkling going forward. They had a disappointing Easter as well, but with Jack Marriott out and Will Keane sadly looking a bit too creaky and not really able to impact things, they don't really have anyone else apart from Big Kelvin. So there's a lot of responsibility on him. He has scored in 3 of his last 8 games. He's stepped up somewhat. He's a bit hit and miss, but he's a handful, and he seems to have got a little bit better in the air in the last couple of months. I think there's some value at 3-1 for him to score, 3/4 of a point for me. And then below me down with a feather, because Mo Balumi didn't exactly nail that.
No,
is 11-2 to score anytime for Hull at Sheffield United. That's a 3/4 point play as well for me. Now, there's a chance Balumi doesn't start, okay? Gelhard often plays off the right. Over Easter, Balumi started against Oxford, scored against Oxford, and what a goal it was too. 4 shots in that game for him. Didn't start against Coventry, came off the bench, had 1 shot. Hull played slightly less aggressive with their team selection against Cov versus Oxford. Not sure what they'll do here against Sheffield United, who are in incredibly poor form, to be honest with you. They've drawn 3, lost 3 of their last 6, Sheffield United, and drawn 2 and lost 2 of their last 4 at home. So with Hull at almost 3-1 to win, I think, as I said with McBurney last week, I think that's going to make the goal scorer prices better for us. And I think Balumi at 11-2, if he starts, is big value. So that's a 3/4 point play, with the caveat that if Balumi doesn't start, I will be redirecting my 3/4 point stake on former Blade Ollie McBurney, who is 11-4 anytime to score with Sky Bet. So Goal Scorer Corner has in it Tyrese Shade sitting in the sun. 2-1, 1-point play anytime at home to Wimbledon. Kelvin Ehebashiman, 3-1 for Reading. At Donny, 3/4 of a point, and 3/4 of a point on Mo Balumi, brackets, Ollie McBurney, if Balumi doesn't start. 11-2, Balumi is to score anytime for Hull at Sheffield United.
Balumi down. I've got 2 goal scorer corners, but they're both braces.
Oh.
Yeah, we're getting to the stage of the season
brace
where
season.
there are going to be some silly games. And there are 2 teams playing at home who I fear could rack up quite a few goals, and they have a couple of players I think are overpriced to do so. Starting in the Championship, where Coventry City host Sheffield Wednesday. Now, I've said quite a few times that I believe that Wednesday are quite a weird, bad team, where they don't pick up very many points, but they rarely get thrashed. I think this could be a game where they do get thrashed. They are 16-1 to win it. away at the league leaders. Coventry off the back of that whole game, a 0-0 draw. We know that Coventry can often rack up a bit of a score at home. And I think Monday's exploits and also just playing 2 games over the weekend for a small squad like Wednesday's might have taken quite a lot out of them. Jack Rodoni is the man that I'm going to look at here. He's come back from injury. He's played 2 half an hours over Easter. And I would expect that he probably comes in here and plays from the start. He, and also with Sky Bet, of course, you get super sub, which means that if he does score in the first hour or so and comes off, whoever comes on for him will carry the burden of the next goal. He came off the bench and scored a brace against Derby with 2 very good finishes. And what I had forgotten was that he'd actually scored in 3 consecutive games before his injury before that. Those 2 goals made it 5 goals in 4 games for Rodoni. And when you consider the way that this Coventry team play, and you consider that Josh Eccles, who'd always been like a deeper lying midfielder, suddenly started playing in the 10 and scoring loads of goals, or at least getting into loads of goal scoring opportunities. It's very clearly well set up for, and the reason for that is probably Rodoni. Like, it's made for him to be the player who's playing in behind the striker. And the manager was quite good at scoring goals from an advanced midfield position too. So maybe by design. He's 15-2 score a brace here. I think if it does turn into a bit of a riot, which us Zan Vopotnik, got top goal scorer backers are quite scared of, please, Frank, can you just start Ellis Sims and just give Hadji? I think Hadji needs rest, doesn't he? Big summer for him. World Cup coming up. Adjaman's injured for the USA. Just Poch, can you give Frank a call and say, do you mind just letting Hadji sit it out to the end of the season? I think Rodoni could be the value at 15-2. And then
that's the price, 15-2 for a brace.
15-2 for a brace,
nice.
Yeah. And then in League One, another player returning from injury, but again, you get the same concession, is Laurent Tolai. When the bell tolls, score a brace.
Please.
Plymouth Argyle hosting Exeter. Obviously a huge game for Argyle in order to try and further their chances of finishing the playoff positions up against an Exeter side who are their main rivals and also are trying to fight relegation. Plymouth rack up goals really often. They scored 3 last time out. We saw them score 5 the other day. Under Tom Cleverley, they are a relentless attacking side, and my hunch here is that Argyle fans will want to, if they do get ahead in this game, there's no chance they're going to let off. They are going to want to punish Exeter and try and do what they can to send them down. Tolai is a ridiculously prolific goal scorer. We're seeing that now, it's only for injury that he probably isn't challenging Ballard at the top end of the League One top goal scorer charts. He's 11-2 to score a brace. He scored 1 on his return last time out. And if he stays on the pitch for any period of time, and if Argyle are able to win the game and win it well as I think they might, I think that 11-2 is big. So 1 point on each, and then a 54-1 double. I'll have a half point on those 2.
Yes, please. I make it 9 braces that Coventry players have scored this season in 41 games, which is nice. And against Sheffield Wednesday, 8 braces have been scored. What about the Acker swerve this week? What do you not like? What do you reject?
There's quite a lot I don't like, but I do think the Birmingham price is absolutely rancid.
Yes.
So that's going to be where I go. There were a few. It does feel like they're, even, and I'm sorry to say it because I know it took up part of your goal scorer corner, but I think Burton being odds on feels.
Wow, you probably didn't know about Wimbledon not having any centre backs.
Yes, yeah, that's fair. But
team news.
Still short enough.
Wimbledon losing all their matches.
Yes,
at the moment.
But I also wonder if there's
a
slight perception that they're kind of out of it when they're not. Anyway, Birmingham are the locked-in official selection. 12 o'clock kickoff on Sunday, this one. And Birmingham are even money to beat Wrexham. Birmingham just, they're a team that look to me like they're really not enjoying being on the beach. They are currently 16th after a season that promised so much early on. It's very hard to find anything positive to say about their recent performances. Quite surprised that Chris Davis is still their manager, to be honest. They've lost their last 3 games. They've lost 6 of their last 8 games, winning just 1 of those, which was a 1-0 win over QPR. Their home form that was so good at the beginning of the season is just tailing now. A 3-1 home defeat against Borough, a 1-0 home defeat against Blackburn last time. They were okay against Ipswich and showed a bit of fight there, but for Wrexham, off the back of that 5-1 defeat against Southampton, this is going to be so important. We know the way that Wrexham set up away from home, they'll be very hard to break down, and I think Birmingham might struggle to break them down. They don't really have any informed attacking players whatsoever at the moment. Jay Stansfield's goals, dried up early on in the season. Marvin Duksh then stepped up, and he's not really scoring anymore. Yeah, I'm struggling to see why. For Wrexham, this is one of their biggest games of the season. One of the biggest games of their existence in recent history. For Birmingham, it's just, please can you make it stop? So yeah, at even money, I'm getting against. I wouldn't put Birmingham on my ACCA, even though never put the late game in.
Never put the Sunday lunchtime game in. It wouldn't be a betting show if you didn't.
Oh God!
Say that a game was one of the biggest games in the club's history. It just wouldn't.
Well, I haven't mentioned Oxford-Watford.
Yeah, biggest game in Oxford's history.
One of them.
Wow.
Up there. Out there. I mean, it's probably. In fairness, it's going to knock off.
Absolutely exhausting. Like, because
no.
Monday was
you're
probably
thinking about it wrong, because it's going to knock off previous games.
Yeah.
So like at the time, the Preston game was.
Yeah.
But now, like 7 games later, Preston's not. It's not one of them anymore because every game usurps it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So you need to think about.
No,
these
I know.
things.
I just love the idea of trying to objectively rank like the game where you got relegated to the National League or the conference as it was, the playoff final.
Be still.
Games like that versus these ones. Obviously,
no. Obviously, regulation season games, playoff finals, and cup games are a whole different thing. Yeah. Knockout games don't count in that.
Do you remember what were the circumstances of Oxford's relegation last time they were in the Championship 27 or 6 years ago? Did that come down to a big little 5-year-old George with his cornflakes crying because
I was a bit older than that.
Oxford had lost to, I don't know,
Scarborough
or something?
We finished first. Scarborough?
It's a long time ago, mate.
Scarborough. We finished our first season in the Championship in mid-table. Malcolm Shotton, the Milk Cup winning captain.
Yes.
At the helm. And then I can't remember the game where we went down, which makes me think we must have been down really early.
Trauma does things to
and
a
then
guy.
we went down from League One under Dave Kemp really early. That was really bad.
Under Dave Kemp.
Yeah.
So you had Ryan Shotton's dad, and then you had Dan Kemp's dad.
Yeah. And then who took us down? Jim Smith took us down.
Oh, really?
Well, he came in late and nearly saved us.
There's so many Smiths in the FL. I can't decide which one to pick as his son.
Tommy.
Reese.
No, choose another one.
Reese and Tommy.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of sons in the FL. The Eggman. I'm putting off talking about the Eggman because that's the closest we've ever come to you Acker-swerving an Eggman pick. Burton are in it. We'll get to that. I'm not putting Norwich, my nap, draw no bet in. It's the early kickoff. I want a 3 o'clock Acker on the aforementioned Stag Do. We'll put Southampton in there. 3-4, shorty at home to Derby. Hard not to be somewhat blown away by Southampton if you've watched either or both of their win against Premier League leaders Arsenal, followed by their spanking of Wrexham this week. They are looking exceptionally good, and they have a group of like 17 players who are pretty interchangeable across the pitch, which I think helps with what is undeniably a fairly busy schedule at the moment. No Agyemang for Derby is a big part of this as well. So very sadly suffered that Achilles injury and will miss the World Cup and the rest of the season and the start of next season. It's horrible, absolutely horrible. And I think, in pure footballing terms, particularly painful in away games for Derby, where as an outlet and to carry them up the pitch is obviously gives them such a counter-attacking threat. So Saints are going in. Swansea at Leicester in there as well. Your nap. I was really impressed by Swansea over the weekend in both of their games. I feel like where previously I didn't feel like they were a team that was doing enough to create chances. I thought that Vipotnik's incredible finishing season was kind of, elevating their attacking play just in terms of his individual play. But actually, in recent weeks, I've particularly enjoyed watching Yeom Ji-sung. I think he's making a real jump towards the end of his second season at the level, only 23, so there's every reason why he would suddenly start looking a bit more comfortable, a bit more confident, looks a bit sturdier to me as well. A bit more about him. That's exciting because they need something from the wide areas. Vidal I've quite enjoyed watching, industrious, creative type in midfield. So I like Swansea. I liked your reasoning. They're in there at 9-4. Then Burton, and this is because of what I said earlier. Wimbledon's defence decimated. Their form really poor, conceding a lot of goals. They haven't scored a goal for 3.5 games. They've got trouble at the top of the pitch as well, which I held back for this segment. Stevens, Bugle and Marcus Brown are either all definitely out or potentially out. So really up against it injuries-wise. And Burton really need a win all of a sudden after that Exeter win on Monday. Bradford, 11-10 at home to Stevenage. Like Bradford's home form is one of the most incredible things in English football at the moment. They've won 15 of 20 at home in the league this season, and they won 13 of their last 15 last season. So we're looking at an 18-month period where Bradford have won 28 of their 35 home league games. It's absolutely incredible. They've got Stevenage coming to town. Obviously a tough nut to crack, and absurd, really. Their last 5 games, Stevenage have been either 1-0 either way or 0-0. So they haven't had more than 1 goal in a game in 5, but not a great away team this season. They've lost half of their 20 away games, 10 with 6 wins and 4 draws. So we like Bradford there. And then Oldham at Shrewsbury at 11-10. I think Oldham are, just incredible at the moment, on such a roll. Automatic performers, front to back to front. Shrewsbury, gave it a pretty good go against Bromley. Quite an attacking lineup, I thought, from Gavin Cowan, which I enjoyed. Enjoyed the approach, the intent, but obviously they have much less to play for than Oldham, and Oldham are a significantly better team than Shrews. I think 11-10 is a fair price. So the Eggman's at 45.98, 45-1 essentially, with Sky Bet. It's got Swansea and Southampton in the Championship. It's got Burton and Bradford in League One and Oldham in League Two. Wouldn't that be a bit of fun? 45-1. Eggman. BTTS. Sixfold. Then let's go.
Yeah, so I really like one that I would kind of recommend betting as a single. Lincoln Leighton Orient 10-11 BTTS seems mad to me. And it's basically based on the fact that Leighton Orient are 5-1 to win the game. But given Lincoln's obvious ability just to enjoy the ride from here on, and Leighton Orient and the criticalness of this game for Leighton Orient, that seems wild to me.
Don Ballard,
so that's
good goal scorer.
Yeah, he scores goals.
Really good goal scorer.
He scores goals. And then Oxford-Watford. Oxford, a must-win game for them. Watford are pretty vibesy in terms of the attacking players that they've got under Ed Still as well. We're seeing quite a few high-scoring games. Even the Hull game that was 1-1 the other day was a game of loads of chances, with Oxford creating more chances at home than they normally do from open play too. So I think that should be relatively end-to-end, and I expect, I'd be surprised if Oxford were able to keep Watford out, but I'll also be disappointed if we don't score. And then Borough-Portsmouth for very similar reasons. Borough, we know, are very, very attacking minded, but they are also defensively sound. But this Pompey team, again, a draw does very little for them, albeit, on the face of it, it's a good result. They are playing a pretty gung-ho brand of football at the moment, Pompey, in terms of the way that they are playing and where their defensive line are occupying and the players they've got. Keshi Anderson looked brilliant against us. I tweeted when the teams came out on Monday how happy I was to see Keshi Anderson playing rather than Millie Ali, and then Keshi Anderson was the best player on the pitch until Millie Ali came on and set up the equaliser. So that was annoying. But I think Pompey will, the way they approach this, it could be quite a high scoring affair. So Oxford, Watford, Middlesbrough, Pompey, and the real strong fancies, Lincoln Leighton Orient.
Yeah, and with, I guess, apologies, I've got 3 really short price ones, not very imaginative picks for me here. Sheffield United against Hull. Sheffield United really petering to the end of the season. It's very disappointing. I didn't expect that. BTTS has landed in their last 6 games, in 7 of their last 8, lands in basically all of their matches, and Hull, as we know, quite goalsy themselves. Despite that 0-0 against Coventry, they do, they attack well, they defend fairly poorly. In League One, Cardiff and Bolton are in here as well. That's because I can't shake the first game between these two teams this season, which I watched pretty much open mouth. Kozia Dewberry scored right at the end to win it for Bolton, but both teams were just pure gung-ho, just trying to out-attack each other. So much space on the break. They both seemed happy with that, happy enough to go kind of blow for blow. And I think that in Brian, Barry Murphy and Schumacher, they've got 2 managers that are going to do that again. I don't think either of them will kind of back down or go pragmatic. So I think BTTS and Cardiff Bolton. Yeah, and then Barnsley at Rotherham. Barnsley find it almost impossible to keep a clean sheet. In fact, they haven't kept one for... God, I'm having to scroll up a long way on the old soccer stats page. The 22nd of November was their last clean sheet. And Rotherham, really disappointing result at Port Vale. They lost in the week. That means they are as good as down. Might as well give it a bit of a swing in this South Yorkshire derby against Barnsley. I think BTTS, yes, in that one. So the BTTS sixfold at a price of 23.26 with Sky Bet has Middlesbrough and Portsmouth, Oxford and Watford, Sheffield United and Hull. And then in League One, Lincoln and Leighton Orient, Cardiff and Bolton, and Rotherham Barnsley. So, please, recap your selections.
Swansea, my nap, away at Leicester at 9-4. Next best, Orient at 5-1 away at Leighton Orient. Sorry, away at Lincoln City. If they're playing Leighton Orient, they'd definitely win.
Yes, they had to.
Birmingham, my Apica Swerve, who are home to Wrexham. My goal scorers are Laurent Tolai to score a brace at 11-2. Jacques Redoni to score a brace at 15-2. A little double there between the two, 54-1 or so. And yeah, that's it, because BTTS, you can read that.
Yes, sir. Norwich, draw, no bet at evens at home to Ipswich Town on Saturday. That's my best bet at even money with Sky Bet. Goal scorer corner has Tyrese Shade of Burton to score anytime at 2-1, 1 point play. It's also got Big Kelvin Ehebashiman of Reading to score at 3-1, 3/4 of a point for Reading at Donny. Mo Balumi 11-2 to score anytime for Hull at Sheffield United, 3/4 of a point. If he doesn't start, I'll be backing former Blade Ollie McBurney at 11-4 instead. The Eggman at 45-1, Southampton and Swansea, Burton and Bradford, Oldham for the fivefold, and the BTTS sixfold has in the Championship Middlesbrough, Portsmouth, Oxford, Watford, Sheffield United, Hull in League One, Lincoln, Leighton Orient, Cardiff, Bolton, and Rotherham, Barnsley. Massive thank you for listening to and or watching this show. Please make sure you drop the video a like if you're watching on YouTube and subscribe to the channel. We wish you all a lovely weekend, but in particular, Cameron Young. Don't listen to the haters. What was it? I almost said Spam Young. Scam Young. You're no scammer. You're no fraud. You're a winner, Cam. You got a hell of a swing. Make sure you keep it dry on 12. Let the putts roll. Don't overthink anything. You've got this, and the future of Not the Top Media Limited rests partially in your hands.
Please gamble responsibly.
Thank you. Cheers. Here's the reverters. Go well.